the PJ Harvey record that you did here, or what other records have you done here?
I did a record for the wedding present there. I did a record for a band called Failure there.
Oh, Failure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those are probably the most high profile bands that I did there, but I had done another half dozen records there for smaller, Minneapolis adjacent bands.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that you have ties to Minneapolis, like Todd Trainer, obviously. He's
Yeah, one of the
awesome.
first when Big Black first started touring, um, almost all touring at the time was done informally by word of mouth. Like if you knew a band in a town, you would call them and they could help you set up a show in their town and you would trade shows often.
Yeah.
And there was a band that we were friendly with called Rifle Sport, who were part of like a small sort of fraternity of bands that were all, friends of and um, of the Husker Du. Like they're all in sort of in the orbit of Husker Du. There's a
Yep.
band called Man Size Action.
Yeah.
Uh, there was the Bates Brothers band called Hipsters.
Oh yeah.
There was a uh, Loud Fast Rules who became Soul Asylum. Like
Yeah.
all of these bands were like they all hung out together, they socialized together, they traded shows with each other. And there was a similar sort of fraternity of bands in Chicago with bands like the Effigies and Naked Ray Gun and Big Black and Breaking Circus. And all of those bands sort of cohabited. Like we would crash. There was a house that Rifle Sport practiced in that Pete Conway, their bass player, lived in, and Brian Paulson, who was in Man-Sized Action but was
Mm.
also a recording engineer.
Yeah.
He lived there at some times, and everybody would end up at Lindale Manor after every gig for an after party. Like the bars, the way gigs worked in Minneapolis is you had to get rid of your alcohol at midnight.
Oh.
So, like at midnight, everybody would just throw their beers away, and most gigs would sort of empty out, and people would make their way to people's houses for after parties. Like the after party culture in Minneapolis was more extensive than any other place I'd ever been.
Yeah.
So everybody ended up, and Lindale Manor was across the street from the CC Club, which was another kind of regular hangout for
Oh yeah.
bands
Yeah.
in Minneapolis. So, like that sort of social welcoming behavior, we tried to reciprocate that in Chicago. So like we would have those bands come down and play with us in Chicago, and they would, so when Big Black first started touring, like the first place where I saw an operating like a scene that operated in an efficient or in a welcoming manner was in Minneapolis. Chicago had the makings of it,
Yeah.
but it was a bigger city and it was more spread out and more disparate. In Minneapolis, you could walk from one house to another. Like everybody that played in a band was in the same neighborhood,
Yeah.
and you could walk from house to house. And everybody, like there was a music shop there. There was Orfolk Jokopus, the record shop that everybody went to,
Yeah.
and like all of this stuff was all within a few blocks.
Yeah.
And that to me, that was really inspirational to see, like it was like a real manifestation of the idea of the community of musicians. Like it literally was a neighborhood thing.
Yeah. And it kind of
And
still happened. It's kind of the place, like Uptown is what you're talking about, like Uptown 26th and Lindale and that
yeah,
area.
exactly.
And even yeah, I feel like there's like a music community there that's it's like still kind of a place that people just congregate and
Well, people who live in like really dense urban environments don't appreciate how like a modest amount of like suburban lifestyle is really conducive to bands. Like if there are houses, that means there are basements. And if there are basements, that means there's practice spaces.
yeah.
And if there are like rental houses that you can buy that you can rent with a bunch of your friends, then you have like a home base and everybody can go there and everybody can hang out there, and you have a backyard where you can barbecue, or
Yeah.
like you have a backyard where you can put on like informal shows, or a basement where people can practice, or a living room where you can assemble your 7 inches or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that thing having like reasonable cost rental houses as opposed to just like crappy apartments and roommate scenarios that everybody can get into. Like that actually makes a huge difference. And that's a big advantage that the Midwest has over, say, like the Boston, Philly, New York, DC corridor over there. Like
Right.
they're just, you don't see that. And the few places where they did manifest it, like the Discord House in Washington, DC,
Yeah.
like that place became like an absolute engine of productivity for the DC music scene.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that it was a fucking place. Like it was a
Yeah.
flop house,
A
you know, where
house.
people could crash. There was a basement where people could practice.
Yep.
There was an upstairs where you could have an office and you could have a phone where it was quiet and you could call people to do bookings or sell records or whatever. Like those little details like made things possible.
Totally.
I'd like to bring a guest up. Celeste. Let's give it up for Celeste, everybody. It's already track 6 already.
Goes by fast.
We only have 6 more tracks left. Hey, we want to thank Eric Martin over here on the cameras, over here on the on all the we're filming all this. So I want to give a big shout out to Eric Martin and the crew for doing this. Yeah, it takes a village, y'all, and we got Nick Tveitbakk. Nick Tveitbakk. He's actually recording this, and we're gonna give everybody the mix once we finish it. We're gonna send it to your email, and so you'll have this this night documented. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for hanging out. All right, this is track 6.